Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about elements of plot, and we've got this handy dandy little slideshow that's going to help us out. So, first off, what is plot? Plot is the pattern or sequence of events that make up a story. So, every plot is made up of events, incidents that happen in any story. There's good things, there's bad things that happen. That's essentially the plot, is just from point A to point B. Sorry, my email, from point A to point B of the story. So if we look back at our plot mountain, the very first part of the plot is called the exposition. And that's normally just where you're getting introduced to the story, the characters, the setting, all of those important things to kind of get you in the mindset of what's happening in this story. Not a lot of action. Is going on yet, but we do get introduced to the main conflict or the main problem during the exposition. So there's a lot of good and important information, and this is normally when we're reading a book if we decide, okay, yes, I want to read this book, or no, maybe it's not for me. So we're going to head on up to the next part of our plot mountain, and that's rising action. And this is when the conflict kind of develops and start to build. Some suspense starts to happen. We've got a little bit more action. We don't just have the problem. We have either our characters trying to help the problem, trying to fix the problem, or the problem is getting worse. After rising action is the climax, and that's the turning point, the top part, the most exciting part of the story. Usually the main character comes into contact or comes into face-to-face with a conflict. If we would think of Goldilocks and the Three Bears, for example, that's when Goldilocks gets caught by the bears, and this is when the story is going to change. Either things are going to get better for the character or things are going to get worse. So the climax is definitely that high point. That's why we're here at the top of the mountain in our plot mountain or during our plot in our story. And then after the climax, we've got the falling action, and this is where things start to get tied up. The loose ends start coming together. We start understanding why the things are happening. There's a little bit less action than there is at the climax, the top point. Things are starting to make sense a little bit more. And then finally, we've got the resolution. The resolution is just where the story ends. If you can think about it, they lived happily ever after in a lot of our story, on our fairy tales. So the resolution is just where everything comes to a reasonable end. And sometimes in our books, actually, especially in series of books, we don't have a great resolution. Sometimes it leads us off to, oh, this might be happening next, or maybe kind of leave the story open. I'm sure we've all been to a movie or read a book where it comes to the end and we're thinking maybe this isn't the end yet. So most of the time it's where things come to a reasonable end, but also sometimes it's where the problem starts to build for the very next story. So those are kind of just a quick overview of what the different parts of the plot is when we're talking about a plot diagram. What we're getting ready to do is we're going to take a book and we're actually going to see if we can diagram out this book together. And then you guys are going to watch a video and see if you can diagram out the plot of a Dr. Seuss book. So I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. I'm excited to practice with you. The next video, you're going to see my face. Sorry about you. And let's get going.